Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Akira Kaminaga. What I'm about to present to you is a piece of software that I've been working on for quite a long time. And I'm beyond excited to show you what I got in store for you guys today. Recently, there's been an insane rise in AI art. And I think there are two key components to it. The first component is the fact that a lot of the common user feels like there is a skill gap between them and the art format that is non-existent, because it doesn't have to be. And the second issue is that AI art is just easier. I feel like a lot of peeps live under the influence that the process of making art is not fun, because that's not necessarily true. What we have right here is known as Memory Net Paint, and as of right now we are working on a hardware component to match the software. But as of right now, on my itch.io page, there are multiple versions of this piece of software that's currently available. And as of right now, I'm going to show you guys version 1.2. With Memory Net Paint, my key goal was to be able to create a piece of software that allows the common user, whether it be the experienced artist or someone who's just now getting into art, I wanted to create a tool that can accurately replicate real-life art format and mediums, as well as making a piece of software that is highly advanced, but very easy for anyone to use. And no matter your background, your experience, whether it's your first time doing art, second time, third time, 100th time, whatever, I want you to be able to create a piece of work, a piece of art, a masterpiece without any struggle. I want everyone to be able to create beautiful pieces of art, not formatted through AI, not generated, done by hand. And what Memory Net Paint is, it's the software, it's the tool that I'm going to allow people to use to be able to create art. So without further ado, I'm going to show a quick demonstration, and I'm going to show you just how easy and just how simple and just how much fun it is to create art. So, here's Memory Net Paint version 1.2. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, what we got right here is the basic layout of version 1.2 of Memory Net Paint. And before we get into actually painting the artwork we want to work with, I kind of want to give you a bit of a tour of what we got going on under the hood. So we're going to start off at the very top. As you can see, we got three different art mediums you can choose from. We got acrylic, oil, and watercolor. For today, we're going to go with oil. Right here, we got undo and redo. So if you ever make any kind of mistake or error in your art piece, you can always go back and draw it up, and vice versa. At the very top, you got your basic. You can save art pieces, save as a PNG or a JPEG. And you got some cool things right here I want to show you guys today. So one thing we got right here is the line straightener. So right now, I'm currently using mouse as opposed to a drawing tablet, so this may not be the best. But when I was getting into digital art, one big issue I had was the awkwardness it came with moving from an analog piece of paper or canvas and a sketch pad, or a sketch pen, or a sketch pencil. Moving from that to a digital sketch pad and a stylus to paint software. You know, the awkwardness came from trying to get the line precisely correct to the screen and how it may not be accurately aligned to how you drew it on the sketch pad, if that makes any kind of sense. Sometimes the words in my head do not in any way accurately come out via word of mouth. But the point I'm trying to get across is, if you want to draw something, let's say you want to draw a simple circle or an oval. See how quirky, how weird it is, right? Well, with the line straightener, it fixes it for you, right? You want to draw a triangle. Well, it's a work in progress, as you can tell. Nothing is perfect. But let's say you got a line right here. Got a line right there. And there you go. So, it even works with random squiggly lines. So, just like how we all do on a Friday night, go all out and just have fun. This is a feature I worked on because this is an issue I struggled with when I got into working on digital art, and this is also an issue I noticed a lot of other users struggled with as well. A really cool component at the very top is that we also have it to where you can toggle the art canvas from the traditional black to the traditional white color. We're going to work with the black color today. Another cool thing we got is we got wet on wet. So wet on wet is a very, popular technique in the art field. A lot of peeps like to paint with oil, and they like to use the titanium white wet and wet canvas. Watercolor is very popular. And with version 1.2, we decided to implement the wet on wet technique onto the current software. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch to a brush. So let's say, to give you a good idea of what we got going on, we're going to go with the landscape brush. Let's go for an 8-inch brush, right? Before anything happens, by default, you're always going to start with a pencil by default. So if you want to move to your brush, you go right here. So let's use a red color, right? So wet and wet. I always advise users that if you want to start off with a pretty solid wet and wet technique that doesn't fade very quickly, you want to go on the lowest setting as possible, right? So you got a straight line of red. So with wet on wet, you can see how the pigment accurately blends into the canvas, right? Now, another key element of this is that it will continue to blend until you turn off wet and wet technique. Now, this is a piece of software, a new element of the software we're still working on, and we're still trying to get some ideas out there. I still have testers who are testing out this version 1.2, that's available on my itch.io page. And I'm always open to any suggestion, right? So this is very much a community-driven project. So I think this is a really cool method we're going to add right here. So very bottom, you got your basic colors. Basic colors everyone starts off with. Let's go to the side. Got freeform select, eraser. It's very similar to the undo redo option. It's more aligned for drawing sketches, kind of like a real life eraser. Got a zoom. We'll use that in a sec. Fill with color. And this is when things get very interesting. Now we got line and curve text. So let's say you do a piece of painting, you want to add your name there, right? So we got different fonts you can choose from. You can go with impact. Do it like that. Font size, let's go for 48. Bold, italic, underline. And my mouse ready. And if you ever wanted to sign your painting, you can put your name underneath, just like that. So that's one cool feature. Most of these features are very prominent in Microsoft Paint. So in the process of time, I'm not going to go into details about some of these features, because if you've used Microsoft Paint, you pretty much know what it is, right? But the features I do want to highlight are some of the cool new things I did added, right? So we got brush type. As you can see, we got a multitude of different brush types. We got background brush, landscape brush, oval brush, and soft blender brush, fan brush, script brush, etc., etc. So background brush, you got different inches you can select from. Same with landscape, soft oval brush, soft blender brush, etc., etc. So we got that very cool feature. Got the color mixer and the brush mixer. Now we're going to get to the brush mixer in a second. We're going to get to the brush mixer right when we actually get into the painting process. The part I want to talk about is the color mixer. Color mixer is really cool. It's been a while since I've used Microsoft Paint. I don't think this was available in early versions of Microsoft Paint. Maybe it is now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't used Microsoft Paint in a long time. This was heavily inspired by Microsoft Paint, but this is more of its own thing, right? But this is a cool thing I wanted to add. So when you're working on a piece of art, you're going to have an art palette, and you want to add different colors to your palette. So you got a color mixer. Now with a color mixer, you can mix different colors, get the color consistency you want. So we're going to paint kind of a dreary sky, right? So we're going to let's go with like a darker kind of blue. Let's go for that color, right? And we're going to add that to our palette. We're going to name our palette Painting 1. So this is when things are going to get really exciting. This is what I'm really excited about. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to show you painting on Net Paint. So we're going to do a basic sky painting. We're not going to add any landscape. We're just going to do a basic sky painting. Maybe if I get a little excited, maybe we'll add a tree, maybe we'll add a mountain. Who knows? But I want to give you an idea of how this software actually runs. Keep in mind, I'm using a mouse. This is not as accurate as it is going to be when you're using a drawing stylus, a drawing pen, or whatever the case may be. I'm using a mouse. It's going to be hard, right? So here's what we're going to do. Let's go to our brush types. Let's go for a background brush. Let's go for an 8-inch background brush. So we're going to go to our palette. See that color? It's the color we chose earlier. So let's go to that color. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply the wet and wet technique. So go ahead and get rid of that part. Totally forgot about it, man. Alright. Let's go back to brush. There's a little mistake for today. Anyways, we are going to do a landscape painting. So we're going to do like a basic sky. We're going to do wet and wet. We're going to go for the lowest setting. And we're going to start off with the corner, right? So we're going to keep on going. And we're trying to get this corner kind of like a dark, kind of adjacent color. And we're just going to let the color kind of blend into the pigment until we turn off wet and wet. There you go, just like that. Perfect. So in the corner, we're going to go ahead and add a dark color, which is actually a bright color. It may look very simplistic now, but wait until we start blending everything. So let's get our color mixer out. Let's go for a more darker kind of tangent in the corner right there, right? So let's go for that color. Kind of like a blackish kind of color. Let's go back to our palette. Let's get the corner right there. There we go. Going to kind of get the top. Now here's the part I'm very excited for, the brush mixer. Now this is hard when you're using mouse, however this will be extraordinarily easy using traditional digital art equipment. But here's the cool thing about the brush mixer. Now with the brush mixer, what it does is that it accurately mixes the color together as if it was a real life art mediums. So what I'm doing right now, mixing color together, if you were to do this, you can essentially do this in real life. And what this does is that it takes this weird kind of chunky, somewhat childlike kind of drawing of a dark sky, and it adds an element of realism to it. Now, it is most definitely possible to do this in mouse. I do not recommend it. Your arm and your wrist are gonna fucking hurt. Don't do it. However, I'm lazy. I don't have any kind of digital art equipment, so I'm lazy, and we're just gonna use my fucking mouse. So, what's really cool is that it's also honestly a very therapeutic way of just kind of finding some soul and some balance and some kind of relaxation. And while we're blending these colors together, I'll go ahead and talk about the mission behind Net Paint. So Net Paint is a piece of software that is designed to allow any kind of common user to download this piece of equipment, a small file size, where they are essentially able, no matter who it is, no matter their past experience with art, they are able to create an excellent, beautiful, amazing piece of art without any kind of experience. And the goal behind this was to essentially be able to accurately replicate a Bob Ross painting as close as possible. There's essentially two big things that inspired this. One big aspect of it was the essential rise of AI art. That's one key aspect. AI art is most definitely on the rise, and I feel like AI art kind of takes away from the creativity, from the soul, and from the overall meaning of art. If you take away from the human element of art, it kind of gives art no meaning, no soul, no jazz, no flavor, right? So we kind of wanted to create a piece of software that is not only very easy to create an amazing piece of art, but it allows for a fun, enjoyable experience with creating art. So you kind of see how our painting is kind of manifesting, right? It kind of changed from these bizarre, squiggly, cartoony lines into a very mysterious, very disturbing, very evil, crazy dark sky, right? That's what's really neat, and that's kind of one of the main goals. So one big reason why AI art is so popular is because of the kind of the skill gap. A lot of people feel like there's a skill gap, and on top of that, there's also that fear of getting invested into art. There's a big, extremely fear of getting into art and being afraid you're not good enough for it, right? And honestly, it shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't, and art really isn't that hard. I remember back in the day, people would do Bob Ross paintings, and when they did those Bob Ross paintings, it showed how easy and how simple it was for any common person to create art and to create magic just through a Bob Ross painting. And Bob Ross had this amazing way of teaching people the joys of creating art and creating beauty. And this is kind of my way of trying to replicate that in a digital format, because I wanted to kind of show people that you can take something and you might think it may look sloppy, then you add a little bit of magic and creative thinking to it, and it can look like something amazing, right? Here's a little example. See these two right here? Looks sloppy, looks basic, but if you add the color mixer to it, and even though it takes some time, we can easily make it blend in perfectly and add onto just the characteristics of this night sky we're working on. And that's kind of why I want to do like the black dark canvas, because it really adds to the characters, to the atmosphere, to the jazz of what we're trying to do here. And what's really cool is with the brush mixer, you can easily take colors from different areas, like this dark pigment up here, and you can kind of add it, kind of make it blend in a little bit better to some areas, right? So kind of like right here, taking some of the dark pigment and we're just going to kind of add it. Take some right here, kind of push it forward a little bit. And that's just kind of the beauties, man. That's the beauty of creating art. So we're going to kind of get this bottom area perfectly blended in, right? We're going to kind of go right here. Going to touch right here a little bit. Kind of see how these basic cartoony lines are slowly disappearing and is turning to something different. It's really, really neat. It's really cool. So we're going to go right here. And we're going to slowly blend this in. Basic shapes of just colors, and it's turning into clouds. It's all about creativity. It's all about thinking outside the box and thinking about something new and something different. Because I'm already getting some creative ideas, thinking of how I can kind of make this even work. Make the colors work a little bit better. Let's add some darkness right here, right? Let's get some of these color pigments, kind of bring it over here. There we go. Let's add some darkness. Let's blend this area up a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Alright. So we're pretty much almost done. I'm gonna go ahead and get some of the dark colors back to we're gonna go back to our art palette, right? We're gonna bring that dark color back up. We're gonna go back to the brush. It's gonna add a little bit right there. Add a little bit right there to kind of make it blend in a little bit better. Let's put our art mixer to it, brush mixer. Just like that. And you kind of blend it in. And what we're doing here is essentially we are pretty much we're pretty much taking very basic colors and kind of making magic out of it. And that's what's really cool about the software. So we're pretty much almost done with the demonstration. We're gonna go ahead and touch it up right here. But I do have one cool idea I want to add, and I might add that in a sec. I'm going to get this corner touched up. So this is version 1.2. Version 1.3, as of right now, is most definitely in development. We got some really cool ideas we're going to add to it. Some new elements, and as of right now, definitely still looking for some people who want to test out the software and give some feedback to what we got going on. This is very much, as I said before, a community-driven project. And this is a creation of all of you, as is a creation of mine. So what's really cool is that we took basic shapes right here, and from those basic shapes we created a very dark late night sky, late afternoon sky. It looks like a thunderstorm's about to happen. Kind of want to add something new to it. I kind of have a pretty cool idea. So let me see what we can do. Let's go to shapes. Let's go for a circle. Let's get the size a little bit. Ready to draw. Let's put it right here. There we go. Perfect. And we got some pretty cool ideas. Let's go back to our brush. Let's change the brush. Let's change the brush type. Let's go for a paint knife. I feel like a paint knife would be appropriate for what we're trying to do here. So we got the paint knife. Alright. Alright, now let's go to the brush mixer. Let's see what we got going on. Let's mix it all up. So what we got this going on with version 1.3, we have some ideas that we think might really add to this piece of software that I think all of you are going to might really enjoy. And on top of that, we also got the physical hardware prototype that's also being worked on. And while that's being worked on, our goal is to essentially be able to take this piece of software and put it in your hand for an affordable price. Very cheap, but something really cool, something really neat, something you're proud to have, and it's very easy to use, right? So let's go ahead and blend these clouds a little bit better. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more blend to that pigmentation. Let's get on top a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna add some color to those clouds, kind of make it match a little bit better. There we go. All right. Alright, let me try this. Shapes, let's add one more circle. Let's add it right there. Let's go back to our brush mixer. Let's add one little bit more touch of detail. Just like that. One last thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and darken these clouds up a little bit. They kind of look a little out of place. So let's go back to our brush. Let's go back to our brush type. We don't want to darken out too much, so we're going to go for a 2-inch brush, right? Let's go right here. Now I made a little mistake, so undo button. Press that back. Let's go right here, right here, right here. Let's go back to our brush mixer. We're going to go ahead and add this dark color, make it blend in a little bit better. There we go. Alright, let's retry that. We are going to get it right. As you can tell, I have a little bit of art rust going on. Let's go right here. Let's get that black pigment paint in, make it mix in a little bit better. There we go. Let's add a little bit of that darkness in. Let's get that black pigment right there, and yeah, we should be all good. And since someone's kind of blend into the moon, we'll make it blend into the moon a little bit better. So this isn't my best painting. As you can tell, it's been a while since I've painted. But as you can tell, we took basic shapes and made a really solid piece of art out of it. So let's go ahead and sign it. We got multiple ways of doing it. We got the line straightener. That's usually how I do it. But I kind of want to show off this text tool a little bit more. Let's go in the corner. Let's go for Times New Roman. And let's go ahead and add my name. Alright. There we go. I was wondering why the fuck I couldn't see shit. And just like that, we're going to save our file.